Mhm. We lost Grub in the tariffs.
Oh, that happened long ago.
They hit hard. They hit hard and
Yeah.
fast, you know? There it is!
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
we're gonna start again. We're take
yeah.
2, take 2.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to GameBreaking News with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about PlayStation 5 getting another price increase. We'll try to make it a good one for you. It will be because Emma Fife is on the show. Emma, how are you doing?
I'm just great, Grub. I lost my mind over the weekend. Oh, but I did go to a Bernie Sanders and AOC fighting the oligarchy rally in Los Angeles, which was their biggest one yet, 36,000 people.
I saw those numbers.
And that might only be counting the people that actually were like in the perimeter, because there were a bunch of people that were on the outside as well. So yeah, that was rad. Joan Baez played, and so did Neil Young. Like, I truly felt like I was at a rally from the 70s in an amazing way. Yes, you're right. Liberal games media strikes again. That's me.
That's right. We'll be at the meetings later. I'll see you there.
But no, it was awesome. Yeah, it was so like chill. Like again, like people were obviously amped up, but like the vibes were very like peaceful, and again, it was like very 70s, like give peace a chance. Everybody singing Imagine. Like, this is truly what happened over the weekend. So that was pretty amazing. And then Bernie went to Coachella. So
that's right. Yeah. but my understanding though is you got obsessed with something though.
I
as
did,
well?
yeah.
Okay,
I
what
became
happened
a
here?
bit of a Pop Mart collector over the weekend.
I don't know what that means.
So Pop Mart is this, it's just a store that sells cute licensed stuff.
Okay.
So they have like a really cute line of DC Justice League figures. They have a line that they did with like Powerpuff Girls. Again, it's like a lot of licensed things, but similar to a Sanrio, except that they didn't create these characters. They also have some just kind of mascot characters. They're not from anything else per se, or they're from like, I don't know, a like Chinese artist put them in a book kind of thing. Yeah, so I became irrevocably okay, so somebody in chat knows what I'm talking about because they're saying I can't afford the giant chopper, and specifically it is the giant chopper that is Labubu, which is the creature that has blown up. The girls are going wild for Labubu right now, okay? And I say girls as an all-encompassing term.
Oh, we know. Yeah, that's how we use it here.
100%. So I spent my entire Friday trying to get I didn't spend my entire Friday because I was working.
Okay.
But yeah, this is Labubu.
All right.
And yeah, my 9-year-old
This is different than Lubu from
Labubu
Dynasty Warriors. Okay.
Different than Lubu from Dynasty Warriors. This is Labubu. And she is a little elf creature based on Nordic mythology by a Chinese artist. I'm blanking on the first name, but Lung is his last name. And the girl, she is the moment. Everyone is trying to get one of these. They sell out immediately on Poshmark. Or Poshmark. I mean, they're on Poshmark too, but Pop Mart.
I'm sure they are, yeah.
No, Climax in chat, I see you asking about Taikoko, and I've become completely obsessed with Taikoko. I literally bought a lanyard during a Pop Mart TikTok live stream last night. I bought some blind box lanyards that are in the Labubu series because one of them is Taikoko. So Taikoko is also from the Monsters series, and Taikoko is a little skeleton, and it's like Labubu's little boyfriend who she's constantly tormenting. It's bad. I've gone crazy.
So yeah, it's it's like a Beanie Baby sort of thing. Or...
It's totally a Beanie Baby thing all over again. Like that's the thing is that like I want to get more, but I want to like show up at a Pop Mart vending machine, which they call Robo Shops, at the exact right time to just find one. You know what it is though? It's like there's something fun about it because there is the like, I don't know, it's the like physical aspect of it and the fact that you can maybe come across them in the wild because it is that like Beanie Baby thing. And in a world where so much is digital, this feels, I don't know, this feels kind of fun. I got a Pucky also. So this is Pucky also from their line. Pucky's like a little baby character, but this is Pucky in a cat costume. And I got this from the Robo Shop. So I've lost it. I've totally lost it.
I'm glad you caught me up because I definitely have seen some of these little fellas on my timelines here or there. And I just like was scrolling past it. Now, when I see it, Labubu, is that the character's name?
Labubu, yeah.
What I'm seeing is a future a costume for Mike Minotti. Clearly, they have the same exact energy, right?
Yeah, Labubu, this little elf girl, and Mike Minotti, basically the same person.
That's 100%.
A little mischievous, because causing mischief.
Do the Labubu, do they ever like dress up as like one of the licenses that they're doing stuff with, or what?
They haven't officially sold that. However, they do make clothes for Labubu. So, we're just waiting for a, well, they do like figures. So for example, there's this whole Labubu figure One Piece line, which is what we were also talking about in chat with the giant Tony Chopper. But they, have ones where it's like, oh, but obviously like Frankie is Taikoko, but everybody else is just like Labubu in different costumes. It's wild. What I'm learning is I gotta keep this away from my kids. Is what I think I'm learning.
That's the most important thing that I'm taking away from this conversation. Let's explain what we do here most weekdays. I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking
Jan,
news.
did you get a Labubu?
Jan, do you have
yes!
a Labubu?
Oh my god!
There you
He's
see
showing
everybody.
it to me and for
I think
Grub.
I think that should pop up here on the thing here in a second.
Oh, good.
There you go, everybody. There's a Labubu.
There's a Labubu.
There's
You
the good stuff. All right. Thank you for joining us. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make mention Blueprints. Where are you at in that? Where are you at in Blueprints?
I haven't started. No, the stream is dead right now.
Oh, is it okay? They can't. Can they not hear us? Oh my God, Labubu!
Jan! It's back up.
Yay! All right. There we go. Do you have the recording of us so I could just keep going? Yeah,
okay, we're going.
I love that. Okay, so you haven't started Blueprints. I thought you mentioned Blueprints. So I wasn't
did.
Sure.
I mentioned that my husband is playing Blueprints. I had intended to start Blueprints this weekend, but then I lost my mind. But I'm back now. I'm like back to my sanity. And Blueprints, it's going to get started today. But I know that Gabe is loving it.
Good, I'm glad.
He started it and he was basically saying, oh, yeah, this is really interesting. This is fun. I'm not totally sure what the gameplay loop is yet, but the deeper he's gotten into it, the more he's been enthusiastic about it. Yep. So,
yeah, I'm my notes have fully gotten crazy now. I was not taking many notes for a very long time, 40 hours. Yep. I had a few screenshots, and now I'm basically studying for an exam. That's basically what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Fun stuff. All right, let's get into it. PS5 prices have increased in some regions, but not the United States. This is from George Yang at GameSpot. Let's just read what's happening first. Sony has announced that it has raised prices for the digital and standard editions of the PS5 console in select regions, but not in the United States. However, Sony has also decreased the price of the PS5 disc drive attachment, which I bet it doesn't sell a ton of anyhow. The price changes are now in effect. In a statement, Sony said it was a tough decision to raise prices, and it's not the first time Sony first raised prices back in 2022. With a backdrop of a challenging economic environment, including high inflation and fluctuating exchange rates, Sony Interactive Entertainment has made the tough decision to raise the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 console in select markets in Europe, Middle East, Africa, as well as Australia and New Zealand. Here is how the prices break down. In Europe, the PS5 digital edition will go from 450 euros up to 500 euros. The standard version that comes with the disc drive, like the add-on that's included, that's not going up in price at all in Europe. But the disc drive will go down from 120 euros to 80 euros. In the UK, the digital edition is going up by £40 from £390 to £430. In Australia, the digital edition is going up 70 Australian dollars. The PS5 standard with the disc drive is actually going up in Australia, but only by $30. And in New Zealand, the digital edition is going up by 60 New Zealand dollars. And then the standard edition with the disc drive is increasing by 50 as well. So that means that will now be 950 New Zealand dollars. It is... I think the initial reaction I had here was, oh, okay, what is going on? Why is it everywhere except for the United States? The United States is certainly one of the factors here in terms of the tariffs, and not the tariffs obviously aren't being applied to these other countries. That's not what's happening. But the tariffs have destabilized the global economy. And when they talk about, here's Daniel Ahmad, ShugeX on Twitter. I mean, I think he said it last night. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, yeah. He says, everyone is about to find out that the PS5 price won't just increase because of tariffs. The knock-on effect in terms of inflation, exchange rates, and macro trends are also impacting global prices. Even if one region is impacted, Sony may raise prices everywhere to offset losses. Things have become so unmoored from a stabilized global economy that these companies are probably looking around and be like, we got to make as much money now as we can because we don't know what's going to happen in 1-2 years. Things could be a lot worse. And they do have a guaranteed win here pretty soon, Emma, right? With Grand Theft Auto 6. I think that's really the foundational thing here is Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come. They know there's been a lot of people waiting on the sideline. Yep. They're going to hit those people where it hurts, right?
Yeah, I saw your post about that yesterday, and that to me that is a no-brainer. Again, it's like we're looking at a destabilized global economy. As far as the U.S. goes, and them not increasing prices here, I don't think that that's set in stone. That's
going to happen. Yep.
For now.
Yep.
But they're basically increasing the prices in markets wherein they know what the sort of taxation, tariff, import fees.
Yeah, they know better what's happening in these countries.
They know better what's happening. Exactly. Right now, we're just kind of, I feel like this is happening kind of across the board in terms of commerce in the US. There's a lot of things that, we're already set at a certain price because they've been in the US market for a long time, and they're just riding it out right now until they can make a decision. The reason that we're unable to order Nintendo Switch 2s is because they're not in the market yet. So they don't know what to set the market price at. All of these other things were already set at a certain market price, and they just don't know what they need to set the updated market price at.
Yeah, they're right. They're anchored to their previous price.
Yes.
So they have to work from there. Nintendo did announce a price right before those tariffs happened. So they have a little bit of an anchor, but they probably feel like they can make some moves before they actually get that thing launched, which is why they have not announced what's happening with pre-orders yet. Although that could literally happen at any second, Emma. We'll have to kind of keep our eyes open. But yeah, I think that you're right. The PlayStation 5 price increase will come to the United States here pretty soon. They are just waiting for the dust to settle. And it's honestly, it just gets kicked up and gets kicked in our eyes every time it feels like things might start to calm down. So, we are here on Monday recording the show. Over the weekend or late on Friday, I think there was the announcement from someone. I think it was the Customs and Border Patrol the organization that was like, hey, there will be an exemption on electronics and computers from China and everywhere will be exempt from these tariffs. So for one thing, when that was announced, Emma, that should just put to the lie just how much this is about bringing U.S. manufacturing here. Because if you make something in China, it was going to have 0% tariffs. But if you make it here and import the processor that you need, it would be 145% tariffs. So clearly, we knew all along. Obviously, we know he doesn't care about anyone else. He doesn't care about U.S. manufacturing, doesn't care about any of that. We don't have to pretend that he does. No. But now it's just so blatantly obvious that was a lie, and we can just move on from that. But computers, cell phones, smartphones, tablets, all these things are going to be exempt. What about consoles? What about, well, hang on, we'll wait and see. And then it's like we get to later in the weekend, and first we hear maybe those tariffs are temporary as well. That was, Lutnick was on Fox News saying that. Apparently that pissed off a bunch of people in the White House. So they're still fighting amongst themselves about how they're going to do this. Trump is now also saying that they're going to be temporary. He's also saying that there's no such thing as any exemptions, even though this exemption does clearly exist. They've clarified the exemption. It does not include consoles. So the Switch 2, PlayStation 5 are still going to be subject to all of these insane tariffs, 10% from Vietnam, Cambodia, and 145% or whatever it's at now for China. So the dust is just simply it's not even begun to settle. It's once again whirling around.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's swirling around. We're in a dust storm still. Maybe it's not completely blinding us, but it's still in one of those little whirlwinds.
I want to look away. I know that much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I think that the solution here is that, Trump just needs to become a hardcore gamer and then he'll exempt consoles.
Yep. So that's the solution.
I mean, that's really what it is. Like, let's be completely honest, is he's like, oh, people need cell phones. So but he doesn't see consoles as like a thing that people need. And then
I think, exceptions. Apple donated $1 million to his
Yeah.
not election campaign, but whatever, like when he was brought into office, and a bunch of other companies like that did. And I'm sure that they are using that leverage they got from giving money to get an audience with him, to get him to agree to come up with these exemptions. But even they can't get him to commit to them long term, which is, apparently what was happening inside the White House on Friday. So like, we need to start stabilizing things again. Let's commit to long-term exemptions. Let's commit to just making decisions on all these things and just go out there and tell the market what they want to hear in a lot of ways. And he cannot get to Monday with that. He cannot make it past the weekend without throwing a wrench into the works and messing things up again. So if I am one of these companies having to decide the price of what my product is going to be, especially if I've already been selling it at a certain price for several years now, I'm just waiting a little bit longer until I get any information, not all the information. That's going to be impossible in this environment, but any information. And again, they can't wait forever, because GTA 6 is coming, and they do want to raise the price before that, because they have to have wins now, because the future is more uncertain than it's ever been. I mean, I saw the University of Michigan does a consumer sentiment index. Emma, it's done it since the late 70s, I think. It is at its lowest point ever. The confidence that the American consumer has in the American economy and in their own future is at the lowest point it has ever been. That includes 2008. That includes COVID. That includes gas shortages in the late 70s. Like, it is really bad. So that should be an indicator that people are feeling super queasy. And of course they should be. Look around. The news is terrible. But if I'm a company trying to be like, okay, well, maybe we can have a good year this year, and next year we'll have some big games and they'll really hit then. It's like, no, you got to make money now and hope you can then survive whatever happens next. It's rough.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, even on, I saw people in chat talking about it earlier. Last night, John Oliver did a whole, the main segment was on tariffs. And one of the big points that they were bringing home about it was that the confidence in the US in terms of being an economic partner in participating in the global economy, it's gone. Like,
oh yes. I mean, like, if we just put it in plain terms of what the original tariffs were going to do, they were going to result in the deaths of thousands of people, if not more than that, in places like Cambodia and Vietnam, places that are just kind of getting, like, especially Cambodia, that is really just sort of getting its manufacturing up and running. They've assembled their entire economy to work with the United States and make stuff for us that we'll buy. And this has been very good for both countries. It's obviously going to always be an imbalance, and we always actually benefit more than these countries we buy stuff for. But that's sort of the evil we've accepted, to be like, well, slowly over time, their lives will improve. We've even seen this with China and all this stuff. And then to pull the rug out from underneath them would have just absolutely killed thousands of people. And that was his idea. That was the whole thing, is I'm going to hurt these people because the number that says USA on this side is lower than this country over here. Like, Cambodia's got a higher number than us. And that drives me insane. It's like, oh my God, people don't deserve to die because you don't understand what you're looking at. So how can anyone trust us? Yeah, you just can't. So it is going to be a messy situation that will not just be unraveled when he changes his mind or gets distracted by something else. It has permanently wrought damage on the trust of this country. So, back to PS5 price increase. Yeah, I'm with you. It'll probably go up in the United States here pretty soon. I think the Switch 2 probably still will see something, or very well could. Xbox should go up in price, but everything's going to go up in price now. Inflation is going to come roaring back.
It's going to come roaring back, as you say, though, for the world.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone's going to pay the price of this. Yeah.
Everyone is going to pay the price.
Yep. If things were starting to calm down with inflation, they were starting to calm down with exchange rates a little bit. They were bounced around for other reasons, but now all of this stuff has completely thrown that stuff into chaos again. And so, if you're Sony looking around, you're like, okay, we have to do this now because we can get away with it now. And of course, that's always how it goes. These companies do what they can get away with. Worth pointing out, I guess, for now, the PS5 Digital Edition in most of these countries now is actually more expensive or the same price as the Switch 2. The Switch 2 got announced and was looking kind of rough in comparison because it was more expensive than a PS5 Digital Edition. Well, now the PS5 Digital Edition is more expensive, and then like even with the Mario Kart World Bundle, that's the same price as the Digital Edition now. So it's like, okay, Nintendo maybe benefits a little bit, but I think people already feel like that's expensive and they're having a hard time justifying that. And PS5 being, getting a price increase won't necessarily make them feel better. All right. So yeah, we talked about this. Unlike smartphones, Nintendo Switch 2 and other video game consoles won't be exempt from Trump tariffs. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that smartphones, computers, and other devices will be exempt from his tariffs, but video game consoles like the Nintendo Switch 2 will not. In a notice published over the weekend, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol said that specific goods would be exempt from Trump's 10% global tariffs on most countries and his Chinese import tax, which is set to send tech prices skyrocketing. Due to the large number of components manufactured in China and the assembly of products themselves, it was estimated that new smartphones, laptops would increase in price by hundreds of dollars, but the new exemptions have lessened the potential impact of these products. Once again, we're kind of just going to have to wait and see what happens with all this. But I think this is just a perfect example of how unclear messaging makes everything so much worse. I mean, people were messaging me all weekend or tagging me on social media saying, "Hey, look, is this good news? Are the consoles going to be exempt?" It's like, I don't know. We're just going to wait and we're going to find out more. And I was expecting the worst, and here we are. What do you think Nintendo does next? Do you think that they can just come out and start selling it at $450 and $500 with Mario Kart World, keep it at a similar price, try to get all the systems from Vietnam that they can, and reintroduce pre-orders here this week? Or are we still waiting for a while?
I think that is likely what they will attempt to do. Because obviously, again, it's like we have all the stories about the stock that's coming from Vietnam, where there's going to be a lesser tariffs. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, Nintendo wants to be able to move product in the US. It is a giant market, and so if they can basically put aside a certain amount of stock of the console that they can then pre-order to the US so they know that they can sell it at that price point and they're not going to take a loss on it because it was, manufactured within this exemption period. I mean, I think that is likely what's going to happen. I just think that in terms of those pre-orders coming up, it's going to be a limited stock. So it's going to be extremely difficult to get one of those consoles and then reassess for release.
Yep. I think that they'll probably, have to just make a move here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Try to I don't know, hope against hope that they see a stabilization here and that things kind of just revert back to what they were, because he's like, well, we tried a bunch of stuff and now, I got all the deals I wanted, so we're going back and I won. Hey, everybody, aren't you sick of winning already? I think he could do that move, and I think they're hoping for that, but they just don't know. So maybe they just pull the trigger on pre-orders as is right now, and then if tariffs on Vietnam go back up like they're set to do after that 90-day pause, they will then have to raise prices at that point. But in the meantime, I think they're like, let's just go with, because they do have quite a few Switch 2s in America right now. They are shipping a lot from Vietnam at a 10% tariff, so they'll lose money on those, but I think they're ready to do that. And then, from there, I think they will just have to be more ready and more on their toes and ready to respond depending on what happens next. And that's rough stuff. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the other news, including Marathon getting its gameplay reveal and how everyone's feeling about that. We'll talk about that right after this. All right, let's get back into it. Me and Emma are still talking about the news, including Marathon gameplay revealed. Marathon is a new extraction shooter from Bungie launching on September 23rd, and alpha signups are open now. Bungie showed off gameplay over the weekend on Saturday, and it looks promising. The game featured a new, unique art style and fast-paced, skill-based combat, but its high difficulty and gear loss upon death may deter casual players. The game will be a premium product with seasonal content updates, including new weapons, mods, runners, and cosmetics. Concerns remain about the game's price. We'll talk about that more in a second. But first, potential for mainstream success is a question mark as well, because of Bungie's history with live service games and PvP balancing. And this game is very much about, it's PvPvE. It's an extraction shooter. You go into the world with a team of 3. It's, and I think it's 6 3-player teams. You're all going after loot and trying to get as much as you can. And the players that could survive and actually extract get to keep their stuff, cash that in, or do whatever they're going to do with it, and then use those resources to go into the next. It's a compound interest game. We have a lot of compound interest games where it's like, oh, I've had some success, and now I can use that success to have even more success next round. I am interested in this. But I also mostly interested because I think Bungie still makes the best feeling shooters. So I want to play their new shooter, and we'll see if extraction can work for me. I really have not, this is a genre I've not really touched much. And because it doesn't sound appealing to me, Emma, but I bet if I get in there with a crew of people and I'm playing it with some friends every Friday night or something like that, I bet I would be into it. These games are very popular. But how are you feeling about it? What do you think the chances for success for Marathon are standing at right now?
So, looking at it, again, it is not my kind of game. It's not my genre. Good luck to them. It looks cool. I like the art style. So at least that is putting you in a place where it just doesn't look like a, black and brown and tan, low color grading Call of Duty. So that at least gives it, in my mind, a chance to attract attention and have people decide, oh, okay, we're going to try this game out. However, I do think that it's a mistake in this day and age to have a high level of difficulty. And I'm not saying like, oh, we should make games easy so everybody can play. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean is that there needs to be adaptability so that you can attract more casual players, because I feel like that is something that Bungie has even struggled with in the past in terms of having these big launches because their games look cool and they feel good to play, so people show up, but then they end up in a position wherein, the now only a hardcore collection of people stick around for it. And again, I'm not trying to say you need to make this game for everyone. I just think that there needs to be some level of being able to retain players who are interested and get into it, but you don't want them to get to a level where it's more frustration than fun.
Yeah, I am trying to look at the Steam concurrent players right now, because it's I agree with everything you're saying, that there are so many barriers to me seeing the enjoyment in an extraction shooter. Now, I am someone who has often enjoyed pushing through barriers or having a game that pushes against me and forces me to play in new ways. So I don't think that's inherently a problem. But, I think when we throw out a lot of stuff like the Elden Ring Night Rain is a multiplayer focused game. And even that other one that they're doing, the Duskbloods, that's multiplayer focused. And people are like, well, that's a mistake. And it's like, well, multiplayer games are the most played games. They just are. Yeah. They just are. They're by far the most played games. You can look at Steam. Multiplayer games always have more players than a traditional game. And that's not just concurrence, but definitely concurrence. Also, they sell better. And now that has gone up and down and fluctuated over the years. But traditionally, it's been very true that multiplayer games tend to sell better. So there's an
Mhm.
audience out there for multiplayer games, and it's maybe not the audience that always tunes into this show. It's definitely not the kind of thing. I'm not catering to that audience. There are people who do. So it's not the first thing I think of, but I'm like, okay, well then what about extraction shooters specifically? And I'm like, is Escape from Tarkov even on Steam? I don't know if it is. I don't think it is. I
I
thought
don't
it was,
think it
but
is.
I don't think it is. So that's not going to show up on the most play games, but that's sort of the one that sort of dominates that genre still. There's also, the Hunt Showdown, that is on Steam, but that doesn't have like 100,000 concurrents or something like that. I'm gonna find it here. Hunt Showdown, 1896. It tops out at about 25,000 concurrent players, which is far
Mhm.
away from the top 50, let alone the top 10. So it's like okay, a a Battlefield game coming out and being not having a single player campaign. Okay, that makes sense because those games get hundreds of thousands of concurrent players sometimes, and they can kind of push through any of these things where it's like, oh, that's niche or whatever. It's not something I want to play. It's like, well, there are a lot of people who do want to play it. I don't think Extraction has had that moment yet,
Mm-mm.
where it's like it's had its Fortnite or its Call of Duty or its Halo to sort of bring it to everybody. Now, Marathon could be that, and if it is, I do think there's obviously something to this style of play.
Mhm.
Developers seem to like it a lot. I think that's why they keep making extraction modes. Um, but in this moment, it's just so much easier to see all the ways this won't work than how it will. But of course, I think, Emma, if it is fun to shoot things in Marathon because it's a Bungie game, I think that's going to go a very long way to getting it over the top, right?
Yeah, I think so. I guess also that it's a lot of discussing happening in chat right now is the reality that this is not a free to play. And obviously we saw how well that went with Concord. Not the same kind of game at its core per se, except that they're both shooty McShoot shoots. Um, so I guess I do wonder if it is going to attract enough attention while asking people to pay money to play it.
Yeah. So that's the other conversation here. Marathon won't be full price. The Bungie says it
Right.
will be a quote premium title, so it's not going to be free to play. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Even after a reveal showcase over the weekend, there was confusion about one crucial aspect regarding Marathon, the game's price point. Developer Bungie has clarified that the extraction shooter won't be a quote full price title. However, the entry cost still hasn't been detailed, with that info apparently arriving in the summer. Originally, GameSpot's Marathon preview noted that the game would be full price, and since Bungie has referred to the shooter as a premium title. On Twitter, Wario64 shared those details before the official Marathon account stepped in to spell out the current pricing situation for Marathon. Yes, it's described as a premium experience, but it won't carry a premium price tag, think $70. What the entry cost will ultimately be for the game, we'll have to wait for a few months, though. So it's coming out in September. I think, at one point it leaked or maybe it was speculated or maybe it showed up
Mhm.
on a store, a $40 price tag. And I just think everyone can't help but go, like Concord, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely like that is the bad taste that's still in Sony's mouth for sure, the owners of
Yeah.
Bungie, but in a lot of people's mouths. And I think if we look around at the shooter market, if you are one of these people making one of these games, Emma, like even a Battlefield, you got to
Yeah.
be like, maybe we got to find a way to get this free to play. It's
Yes.
so hard to compete with Fortnite. It's so hard to compete with so many of these other games that are either
Yeah.
free or so old that everyone just already has them in their Steam
Has
account,
it. Yep,
right?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's like, how do you make the Fortnite model work in other games? Because I have a bunch of friends who are deeply into Fortnite. They're also deeply into purchasing Fortnite skins.
Yes.
So it's finding ways to make those in-game transactions feel worth it is kind of the key to finding the way to make your premium game free to play.
Yeah. It is, and I don't have experience with extraction. Christian, I know in chat, who I know loves extraction shooters, says he's never
Yeah.
played a free-to-play extraction shooter that has worked. I can
Yeah.
imagine that like balancing the in-game economy, separate from your real-world spending, is crucial to making that feel fun. That's the stuff that does appeal to me, like
Yeah.
risk reward, being in the moment, being like, I have a lot of stuff. Should I just be prioritizing surviving now? Or I see a big shiny thing over there. I want to go get that. As soon as you tell me, well, yeah, you can go get that, but someone on the other side of that hill is probably waiting for you, and they probably spent $100 to get stuff. Obviously, it doesn't have to be pay to win. But if they like look cooler than me, and that's one of the things I'm getting out of like doing all this work and trying to extract, that can also poison the well of
Right.
feeling good about the extraction loop. So it's got to be
Yeah.
difficult to make this make sense. I don't know.
Gotcha game?
Gotcha game.
Add gotcha mechanics.
Just waifus. That's always the answer. We'll see. I think it looks cool. And I'm gonna try it. I want an extraction shooter. I want to like have an experience with one. I think I'll just save it for this one. This will be the one I actually go in with. All right, let's update on Oblivion and the shadow drop last week. I think it was last week on this show, Emma.
We were talking about it. Yeah.
We were talking about it. Like, oh yeah, it should shadow drop at any moment. I'll give people a week now. The week of April 21st. So basically, the last week of this month, next week, essentially.
Yes,
so,
next week.
that it should shadow drop then, which I think other people have said, but I've gotten separate confirmation that that's going to be the case. So. Shadow drop last week of the month. I'm getting excited for this one. Although I imagine I'll still be playing Blueprints by then. I'm going to spend the rest of this month playing Blueprints, and then hopefully I can wrap it up and be ready for Oblivion. We'll see.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited about this.
They have still not like announced any events, right, from Microsoft. Like they announced something for June for the Summer Game Fest season. But I don't know. I don't know where this shadow drops.
I believe too that basically like what Microsoft Xbox was saying for Summer Game Fest was that they were only doing the press conference. But still, but that'll be after Oblivion drops.
Yes, that'll be long after Oblivion drops. That's right. So, yeah, we'll see. This will have to be something else. I guess people have heard maybe there's an Xbox event happening on the 23rd. I just haven't seen that anywhere, so I don't know. But yeah, hey, next week, let's get down. I'm ready to go back to Oblivion. Mafia: The Old Country release date revealed on Steam. This is from Insider Gaming. The release date for Mafia: The Old Country has seemingly been revealed in a blog post published on Steam a short while ago. It looks as though the game will be released on August 8th, 2025. Previously, the game only had a window of 2025. So this narrows it down. Mafia: The Old Country was first teased in August at Gamescom's opening night live ceremony, with a fuller trailer dropping in December 2024 at the Game Awards. Take-Two could have a stacked release slate lineup now with Mafia: The Old Country, Borderlands 4, which I think is actually coming out the same day as Marathon, which is a little weird, and GTA 6, all dropping within mere months of each other. Yeah, you ever spend any time with the Mafia games? I tried the first couple and just never could get into them.
No, I was like, is this like The Godfather, the game?
Yeah, it is like Godfather, the game, which is actually not that bad. It's an open world crime game. They try to add a little different flavor on top to be a GTA without being GTA. And I think they're all right, but they've never been great, I think. And I've always wanted them to be like kind of just get up that next level. I hope this one does it. But yeah, this is one that I think they kind of made in response to, in this, they being Hangar 13, the studio, in response to their last game getting canceled several years ago during the pandemic. They were working on like a shooter with like magical powers and stuff like that. And I think they're we're gonna scrap that and go back to Mafia. And here we are. It feels like kind of a quick turnaround, but I have no idea what development. Maybe they were working on this in conjunction with that, and it had been in the works for years, and now they're ready to go.
Yeah. Or they just turned that into this, and in this Mafia, you will be able to do wizard spells.
Okay, I'm down.
Twist.
Yep, there it is. Warlock Mafia. Yeah, let's
Actually, I would play that.
Just it would be a shame if I were to defenestrate you magically through this window. Yes,
Yep.
I would. I would definitely be excited about that. Yeah. Hey, Take-Two's lineup does look pretty good. They are. If they have Mafia, Borderlands 4, yeah, it's Borderlands 4 and GTA 6, really all dropping within months. Although I continue to think it's like, well, yeah, they have those other two games, so if they feel like they have to delay GTA 6, they won't hesitate. But I don't know. It feels like they're going to have all this, and it's going to be a big year for them. So we'll see. Are you a Borderlands person as well at all? Have you ever played a Borderlands? Because I've only played the first one, and I'm like kind of in the mood for this one.
Played Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh,
but like Telltale thing.
It's honestly probably the best one. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, totally. And final check, GTA 6. I mean, I know we were just talking about for the PlayStation price increase thing, but I'm leaning more toward it coming out this year.
Me too. Now I think holiday. No, yeah, holiday drop.
November, December, yeah.
Yeah, they would give themselves that amount of runway. I think what they would love is to drop it in the summer, but they're going to give themselves as much leeway as they can while still dropping it a big season. So I think it's going to be the hottest gift of the 2025 holiday season.
Yep. Yeah. And it's like, we're not so close that they have to say something soon, but the summer announcement season will be here soon. And I hope that at that point they just straight up say a date, but at least like a month. Just say a month. That'd be nice.
I just got so excited thinking that maybe there would be something around GTA 6 at Summer Game Fest this year. I got very excited.
I mean, it's not impossible.
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility.
I don't think they would be at Keeley's thing, but I think they would maybe they could run something in conjunction off to the side at a hotel room or whatever. That's definitely something that they might do.
Yeah, they could just come bring GTA 6 to us. Yes. We could play it.
That'd be ideal. It's Rockstar, so they'd probably be like, no, you come to us. But
yeah, that's true.
All right. Let's see here. And then a new prototype game is in the works. A playtester claims, we'll see. I don't know if I believe this one, but let's read the rumor. This is from Insider Gaming as well. A new prototype game is reportedly in development. And that's not like prototype as in an unfinished idea. Prototype is in that franchise that was like the monster superhero open world action game from the Xbox 360. According to a user on Reddit by the name of Bigby, they were given details about a new game in the series as part of a recent focus group session. The user claims that the game will see Alex Mercer return as its protagonist. Who can forget Alex Mercer?
Alex Mercer, I mean.
Yeah, just all the kids clamoring for the return of Alex Mercer. Gameplay will reportedly feature shape-shifting and transforming into other people in order to infiltrate areas. Lastly, it will be based in New York City. Insider Gaming reached out to Big B regarding these claims and was told the following. It was a YouGov survey which asked me to sign an NDA and confirm that I will not disclose the contents, which is exactly what they're doing here. It then confirmed a series of features that upcoming games will include and how popular this was with me percentage-wise. It was not a playtest, but did specify that these features were already planned as part of upcoming games. Okay. I mean, but I don't think there's any reason to assume that, or to like just take the survey at its word. That's like, hey, imagine a prototype game that's using these features. That's really coming, and it's going to have these features. I mean, they could just be prototype could be a stand-in. They could be saying prototype when they actually mean something else.
Totally. I mean, if it's just a survey, it's like Sony surveying their audience saying, what do you like about the Switch 2? It's like, Sony's not going to make the Switch 2, but they're going to make their own handheld. It could be that they're, making something in the vein of a prototype, but it's not necessarily another prototype game. I mean, it looks like it was relatively well reviewed.
They're all right. They're all right. They're okay games. But it doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me because it's like these feel like the kinds of games that don't get made anymore. They are a certain level of like, B tier in terms of attention getting that feels like the kinds of things that publishers are afraid to make these days. And so it's like, I mean, really, Prototype is the one that's coming back, huh? There feels like there's a lot of
Yeah.
games that would come back before that would make a lot more sense. Um, and like, who's even making this? I think the studio that was responsible for the Prototype games isn't a going concern anymore. So does someone just
Right.
really like who even owns the property? I don't know, but does someone just
Yeah.
like love it so much? Like, we got to get more of this. This is the key. I just don't see how this ends up really happening.
Yeah. I'm trying to look into basically like how well these games did, and Prototype 2 quickly comes up with information that like even though it did perform well in its release month, it was too large of an investment for them to have made any significant returns on it
Right.
apparently. Um so yeah, I'm with you. Like I guarantee you that there are people who are Prototype freaks out there. There's people who love every single game, but this is not a game that I even hear as like, oh, this is kind of like a cult classic.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
like,
It was like someone in chat said a little bit ago. It was that game you beat after renting for Blockbuster, and you return it, and you're like,
right.
"That was fun," and you don't really ever think about it all that much again. Like maybe a little bit better than that. It's a little bit. It's not completely forgettable, but it was pretty generic,
Mhm.
and yeah. So it just feels extremely weird. But apparently it's Activision, so Microsoft owns it,
Right.
and they own a lot of IP. So I think the same thing still stands of, okay, you're going to get a team together because that original team isn't there. They're not like waiting around begging to do more Prototype. So they're like, you have to be like, we have this IP, we got to go find a team to make a game based on this IP. What I could see happen is like a Prototype collection or HD re-release from like a partner,
Totally.
like an external team that comes in and say, hey, we can like up-res some of your games and re-release them.
Yeah.
But I bet that those games are already backward compatible and running just fine. So I don't know if there's even that much demand for that even. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not buying this one. I think that's where I'm putting my money, Emma,
Yeah, this
personally.
seems unlikely.
Yep. Yeah, this was the spiritual successor to Hawk Ultimate Destruction. Let's get a new one of those first. That would be great. That's what I really want.
That's a licensed character with a built-in audience, so that seems
Yep.
way more likely.
Yeah, and if they just call it Hawk Ultimate Destruction 2, like a sequel to that Xbox and GameCube game, I would be like, that's got a built-in audience too of old men who really
Yeah.
like those games. All right, Zelda's Nintendo Switch 2 port finally lets you repair equipment as long as you use the mobile app. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC.
Oh.
Nintendo Switch 2's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom ports look set to fix. Andy, I got a problem with you. One of the two game's most divisive features via its mobile app connectivity. As part of its big Switch 2 reveal earlier this month, Nintendo announced that Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild will both get Switch 2 editions, as well as a new app called Zelda Notes, which will
Oh
be
my
part of
god.
the Nintendo
Oh,
app.
that's right.
The app will allow players to navigate and leave notes on an interactive game map, share creations in Tears of the Kingdom, unlock achievements, and more. The Zelda Notes app also allows Switch 2 players to roll a random daily bonus, which can be stored and used in-game. This includes generic items like meals and health boosts, but as spotted by Zeltic, one of the rewards is an equipment repair. This will repair any items that have decayed or been used to the point where they're about to break,
Mhm.
so you can actually repair them. And to this, I say Nintendo are cowards, and they should have never done this. Stick to your
Yeah.
guns.
Yep.
I'm disappointed in them. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but
My
it's kind of a funny way to bring repairing into Zelda, though, in the app.
Yeah, and very Nintendo to be like,
Yes.
you need to also integrate with our other online thing, even though we just learned what the internet is 30 days ago. Um, yeah, okay, but my question is, how does the repair happen? Like, how do repair? Do you have to? Is this where I spend my Nintendo Gold coins for buying
Yeah.
games in the eShop? Like, you know?
Uh-huh. It seems like you just roll, like you'll open the Zelda Notes app, get a random thing each day, and then you just, I think probably there's probably, how when you bring an amiibo into Zelda, where it's like one
Oh,
of the powers. I wonder if it'll be
yeah.
like that. Like now one of the powers will be like the Zelda Notes interaction. So we're ready for you. Do the Zelda Notes thing. Maybe even NFC the phone to your Switch 2. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'll be linked to your phone. That's the name of the character. But well, they'll have some solution. I think it's probably going to feel cheap and janky because it's a mobile app, and those are always kind of terrible for this, smart glass generation.
Yeah. I mean, I think that again, your weapons, it would be one thing if one of the points of the game was weapon scarcity, but that's simply not a thing.
No. It's just like Halo. You run out of bullets in your gun, you drop your gun, you pick up another gun. That's all
exactly.
Yeah. That's and it's meant to kind of keep you engaged with the combat and the environment, and it's good. Yeah. Weapon degradation is actually good.
Yeah, I like.
But again, everyone feels that way. This is not going to solve their issues with that. So it's
not. No, this is annoying. If they really cared about weapon degradation and not creating some little integration for their new Zelda Notes app, they would just make it an option in the game to switch weapon degradation off.
Yep, totally. It's definitely a part of the balance and part of the loop. And so they're gonna keep it here, and it'll. I don't know if it'll be in the next one. I bet they'll rethink a lot of things, and at that point, maybe they'll have a different kind of loop. But it really worked in these two games. Yep. All right. There was one other thing. Matt Piscatella, right before we started, just kind of shared some tidbits. The MPD, the Circana report, as it's called now, will come out next week. But in the meantime, he's got a little bit of an update on Assassin's Creed Shadows, which he says has been the best-selling video game in the United States for each of its first 3 weeks in the market, according to Circana's retail tracking service. And that's based on dollar sales. So it's doing pretty good. That's probably what they wanted to hear.
I'm happy for Ubisoft.
Yeah. They've got so many messes, and they're all responsible. They're responsible for all of them. They made a pretty good game. Assassin's Creed Shadows is pretty solid. So I think it's the game that a lot of Assassin's Creed fans were actually asking for as well. So I think that they'll be happy with this.
I agree.
All right, let's wrap things up. We got a poll question to get to. I have it here. Let me get it there. That's the gamer wrap. Sorry, everybody. Let me go giantbomb.com/@giantbomb. And then you guys can go, that's youtube.com. I can't see the poll on the Discord, Jan, so let me just get it here. Giant Bomb.
Yeah.
There we go.
I can't show the poll because everything. Oh, yeah. Jan said everything on his computer's frozen except OBS.
Yep.
So.
Oh, fun. Okay. Well, at least that's still working. I got it here. Do you expect a Switch 2 price increase now? I think we asked that at the end of last week. Let's see here. 49% said yes, 26% said yes, but a smaller one, and 25% said no. I feel like we might have already answered that one as well, so maybe the new one didn't get posted. We'll have a new poll question, and that's going to be, are you excited about Bungie's marathon, yes or no? We'll get that answered on Game Breaking News on Wednesday. While we get ready for that, Emma Fife, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all that good stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can certainly find me at my local Pop Mart Robo store, at the one that is an actual brick and mortar store, at a mall that's not as close but not so far from me. Maybe you could even find me at the Century City Robo Shop if I get really ambitious and want to make the drive over there. But yeah, I'm at Emma Fife on Blue Sky and on Instagram, and the Emma Fife on TikTok, where I posted some unboxing videos and just big explanation about the recent deterioration of my mental faculties.
Oh yeah, it comes for us all. All right. Let's see here. Like I said, the new poll question, that'll go up on youtube.com/@giantbomb. Just go to the community tab. You can vote there. We'll get the results, talk about it on Game Breaking News on Wednesday. Today, the schedule's getting kind of flipped around a little bit. I think Jan might be having something. We'll see if his computer's going to break or not. And then let's see, tomorrow we'll have the Bombcast. We will have a return of Blight Club on Wednesday. Voicemail Dump Truck will be on Thursday. We'll be running a UPF on Friday. Looking forward to all of that and more this week. In the meantime, Emma5, thank you for hanging out with me and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.